Year. Well, there's no eloquent way for me to start this but to just start, right? And so here I am. Today, we're going to talk about a few things. First of all, Happy New Year. Some changes in the type of content that I put out and what I put out there, how I put it out. Being 95% back to normal. We're also going to talk about trends in Disney vacationing. A New Year's Eve at Epcot, New Year's Eve at Disney World review, and also Monsieur Paul review. All of that next. All right, so let's talk about the changes. The one thing you're so eager to learn about. I know. It's nothing is really changing. So you've come to know me mostly through Facebook, and my Facebook content, if you will, was always put out in a live format. And the design of that really was to be a little more interactive. And sometimes I ramble. Some like it, some don't. But what I found is that most of my viewers on the Facebook platform watch replays, because let's face it, no, the world isn't going to stop for me, and I'm not very structured to the minute of when I'm going to go live. So we're going to go back to YouTube being the primary platform. I mean, that was the intention from the beginning. But the issue is with YouTube, in order to go live, you need some copious amount of subscribers for that to be a thing. And you know what? It's okay. Maybe I'll get there. Maybe I won't. It's not really a life goal of mine. But if this helps promote it to the point where I can go live on YouTube, then we'll do that. But for now, based on the way people do view my content, this will be the primary. And don't worry, Facebook friends, all I'm simply going to do is drop my link on this pre-recorded, and it's fresh, folks. When I put this back out, it's not days on end that I'm editing. It's going to be within a couple of hours of me finishing it, right? I'm going to drop the link in Facebook for you to just click on the YouTube link and hear exactly what I'm saying to everyone at the same time. So that's the primary change. And, you know, it's not that nothing wasn't working. Folks have found me and know me by way of Getaways with Angela in many capacities over the last, I would say, almost 8 or 9 years, right? And so I felt like there was such a divide in the people who find me and come to know me. So I want to keep that kind of continuity in YouTube as a platform. So that's probably going to be the longest take in this new format. Be right back. All right, and that be right back for you means all of 2 seconds. So that's what I'm trying, folks. I'm trying to separate my topics in takes and then kind of deliberately mark those chapters in a video. So if you don't care about everything I'm going to be talking about, you can skip right to the thing that you are most interested in. Make sense? Okay, and you know what? This is going to be polished up even better. You might not see my takes with me reaching to push the stop button. Bear with me. The point was, just get started, just do it, and we'll worry about all of the glamour of it later. So we talked about the changes. Thank you very much for your continued support. YouTube, Facebook, you name it, it's all one and the same. Moving on to being 95% back to normal at Disney World. And I say 95% maybe because of like a couple of things, but folks, all the resorts are open. I know you're thinking, oh, COVID's a thing of the past, but let me tell you, Disney's been slow to get back to the way things were in 2019. Okay, so now we have all of the resorts open. Nearly all of the restaurants open, and a few new ones that have opened since, with the exception of a handful, like 1800 Park Fair. I don't know what the deal is, guys, but 1800 Park Fair is in Grand Floridian. It is a character style buffet. And for those that couldn't get into Cinderella's royal table, this was an excellent, and in my humble opinion, if you've got a mix of boys and girls, I think a great alternative to Cinderella's royal table and less money. So whether it's just some sort of a refurb, redesign, I don't know what Grand Floridian is up to. They did do some renovations, but 1800 Park Fair is not reopened. And put in a comment if I'm missing some other restaurants that haven't opened. I think for the most part, everything. I know Takumi Te, which is like the high-end bougie, like Japanese thing, is open. As far as my understanding, I haven't tried it. But the Disney dining plan is back. Guys, it looks and feels like the old way of Disney operations, and I am just so happy. The only thing that I would love to see go away is reservations for us pass holders, but we've gotten so accustomed to needing the plan that it's not a big deal. But when you're traveling with someone that's going bearing tickets with an annual pass holder, you just have to be mindful of a little bit of planning, even though they don't have to hyperplan. Kind of by default, have to hyperplan. I, for one, experienced an eye-opening thing the other day for an upcoming reservation that I by default made for Magic Kingdom, and I switched it to something else, and Magic Kingdom's already sold out for annual pass holders. So I think for the most part, things are back to normal. And maybe I'll say some random things. I'm wearing brown. Brown is in? Or am I late? Am I late on the trend? Let me know. Random thing of the day. Okay. Moving on to trends. Booking trends, travel trends. I am definitely seeing more people doing that week-long stay. We're beyond the pent-up demand. We're beyond, quick Disney fix. We're seeing, I think because travel is expensive, you just kind of take into account the logistics of getting there, the airfare, and what is it, relatively speaking, to tack on an extra couple of days. So I am seeing more 7 and even 8 night on average bookings happening. And so I think that's interesting. So people are getting a little bit more settled in. People are planning more non-park days. Guys, I love the non-park days. There's too much to do. I haven't seen it all. So for the most part, I'm also seeing a trend, an uptick in moderate resorts. Moderate Disney resorts as kind of the primary selection, as opposed to values. They're actually outweighing values for the price difference. And in some cases, some of the values are more expensive than the moderates, than deluxes. The only thing that I would say is an exception is folks that are booked for a moderate. At last minute, I always overturn stones just to see if there's something that's incremental. It's not Disney upselling. It's just kind of, doing your due diligence. I generally see for just a fraction of the cost, a little bit more of an upcharge to stay at a deluxe. And for some people, when they do the comparison, it's like a couple $100. It's not a big deal. And there is a step up. You get your own balcony, things like that. There is a step up with deluxe in terms of space, amenities, like I said, that balcony. And just do your due diligence and see what that step up is right before you pay for your Disney vacation, because that can make all the difference of an aha moment and saying, I'm so glad I looked into this. And you'll be pleased with the change. And I know, look, your plans are centered around your location and where you are, but just challenge yourself to look at the alternative. All right. And a couple more things to close off on. I'm trying to keep these relatively condensed so that we can jump around, see what people like, see what people don't like, and maybe expand on topics that are more appealing in the future. So keeping it very efficient for now. New Year's Eve review. I personally got a chance to experience Walt Disney World, more particularly Epcot, over New Year's Eve. I know it sounds silly to say that it was a bucket list of mine, but it was. I enjoyed it a lot. Do I think it's a one and done and I'll never do it again? No, I totally like to do it again. I mean, I don't know if the planets will align for me to do it every single year, but had a great time. It kind of lived up to my expectations and some, right? And so let me unpack that for you a little bit. New Year's Eve in general, Disney or not, let's face it, the majority of Americans choose to stay at home. They don't want to deal with the drunks. They don't want to deal with the party scene. They don't want to, they just want to be relaxing at home, went through a lot of travel, a lot of whatever, expense perhaps over Christmas, and they just kind of like to downplay it, right? I'm usually that person. I am usually that person. But I really wanted to live it up this year. So I very intentionally planned as early as I think like May or June. I had a placeholder. Might have changed where we stayed 1 or 2 times, which is the norm. I do it too. You guys do it. I do it. And I'm so happy we went. Now for me as an annual pass holder, because I am also a DVC member, I get to get kind of a step down from like the all access annual pass. I get to grab the gold level. And you pretty much have everything that the premium Incredipass, so I have a sorcerer. I still say gold because that was like the old naming convention of like that step down. But this year, and I think last year as well, the only thing you didn't get was the blackout date of like a little bit over 2 weeks over Christmas, going into like maybe 1 or 2 days after New Year's Eve. So like, I think it's like the 18th or the 19th through January 2nd or the 3rd was a blackout date. And because I knew I was going to bring my kids with me, because we re-up a family of 4, I just said, you know what, let me just wing it. And even if me and Dave don't like upgrade our annual pass, which I played, it was a little dicey there because upgrading your annual pass wasn't a thing until midway through the year, beyond like my time of already like making the decision to go over New Year's. So anyway, long story short, I did the math, and because we were only going, I think we were going for 4 nights or something. We got in really late the first night. I said, you know what? I really just want to do Epcot on New Year's Eve. That's it. I'd love to see the fireworks at Magic Kingdom the night before, just at a distance. I don't need to be in the park, but I really just, that's all I want to do. So we just got a one-day ticket. Incredibly expensive. It was upwards of like, we didn't even do park hopper. I think it was like $189, and then with tax and everything, you're pretty much at $200 a person. And then we were just gonna do like resort hoppy stuff in Disney Springs, and there was plenty to do. Like I was on the fence of upgrading my ticket to a 2-day or a 3-day up until the last minute, and I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. Like we slept in, we enjoyed the room, we went to Disney Springs, we did the Skyliner crawl. Anyway, it was awesome. And so I will talk about Monsieur Paul in a minute, because that was like the highlight of our like dining experiences there. I've never done before. But New Year's Eve wasn't crazy there. Was it crowded? Yes, but it wasn't like you're bumping into people left and right and there's fights breaking out. Like, no. It was predominantly a bunch of middle-aged people that are willing to pay the price to get into this thing and have a good time. And I mean, Dave and I were like right front row at all the DJs, like all of them. We had no problem. You know, and usually you got to really muscle your way to get to the front. Not that anybody necessarily needs to be in the front, but I just enjoyed their performance, right? So Italy had a thing. China had a thing. Those were the big. Now, Japan had a thing. And in years past, the Japan DJ situation was kind of underplayed a little bit. Other than walking past it on our way in and on our way out, I saw it for all of like half a minute both ways. That one really stepped up this year. All of the folks talking about all the different countries and the DJs and things that were going on really said that Japan really represented. Now, it doesn't mean that it was like Japanese music per se, but the DJ that was kind of in charge of that country. The country's respective DJs had nothing to do with the culture. It was just a little bit of a different vibe. China is super cool. It was definitely a little bit more of an amped up type of DJ. Maybe a little bit more, I would say, mainstreamy convergence of rock and pop and EDM. But there's pyrotechnics and there's a smoky dragon, great light show, and it was a really, really fun vibe. And I thought that we were going to be parked there most of the time, but I actually really preferred Italy. Italy was Atomic Blonde, and she had a little bit more of a mellow EDM. She did play some, she just put some throwbacks in there with some old school stuff, but she did really, really good mashups. I love that they put out these smoky bubbles. They were bubbles, and if you pop them, they were smoke contained inside. That was fun. Was the music loud? Was the music bassy? Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't like deaf afterwards. I mean, I was right up front. So it was fun. The crowd was very respectful. Yeah, some folks having maybe too many cocktails, but nobody was really sloppy. Like it was a ton of fun. It was my pace for what I could handle and the kind of people I wanted to be around at almost 47 years old. Okay, I put it out there. I'm not like I love the club scene, but that's not for me. You know what I mean? It's not my jam. I would never show up. But it was like I got everything I wanted out of that at Disney World. So I will say that it was good. Were the lines long for alcohol? Yes. But there were also some pockets where they weren't that long. Now, I got a snootful of wine at Monsieur Paul, so I really wasn't drinking after we left. I maybe got like one thing at Italy. The bathrooms, if it's a bathroom in clear sight, best be known it's going to be long wait, right? But there are plenty of hidden little nooks of bathrooms all throughout. You just need to know your bathrooms. And maybe my pro tip is to do a little bit of research of like all those little hidden kind of bathrooms. And you probably won't experience a line at all. So that's about it. The fireworks were amazing. And the big question was, are the fireworks as good as my favorite time of year, which is 4th of July? No. They're a very close runner-up, to the point where even my husband said, oh, it felt like the same. No, they really go all out. It's a little bit longer of a grand finale and more intense with 4th of July from what I remember. But that's a really close runner-up. So fireworks were amazing. I kind of wish that it went on a little bit longer. So after midnight, park is still open. It's only open until 1, and that last hour flies by. Most of the people leave. I would say more than 50%, 60 to 70% of the people are out of there after midnight. Good luck with that. You really ought to consider staying at one of the nearby Epcot resorts, because getting out of there, like, all I have to say is good luck. Parking lot is jammed. What was I going to say? It was fun the last hour, and I felt like I could go on for maybe one more hour. So I would have liked to have seen it stay open until about 2 a.m. Now, were people still in the parks after 1 a.m. and hanging out? And could you hang out for an extra hour or so? Absolutely. I think the Creations, not Emporium, the gift shop's probably open for another hour or so post park opening. But the music is all turned, like literally at the second of 1 a.m., everything gets turned off. And it was like, party's over. But it was super nice, slipping out behind International Gateway, the back entrance, and 5-minute walk to Yacht Club. It was super nice to do that. And we saw the Skyliner line. Holy cow. I mean, we've seen long Skyliner lines at night. On our way in, let's just say that we saw metal kind of like railings for a switchback situation. So you had a 2 or 3 level, I think, switchback that still went all the way back to, if you're familiar, Beach Club. I've never seen anything like it. If there were no switchback, I seriously think that line probably would have ended at the end of Yacht Club. That's how far it would have gone. So a lot of people turned out for this thing. I thought it was well under control. A lot of people stayed out late. I'd love to do it again. Whether I do it at the end of this year or not, I don't know. Maybe like an every other year thing. In terms of whether it's for kids, I did see children there, all ages, from in the stroller to 10. Teenagers loved it. Oh my gosh, you have teenagers. Just as long as they understand, that there's a lot of consumption of alcohol there. As long as they understand that that's not for them and do the right thing kind of thing. They all had a really, really good time. Kids were tired. Kids, I would say, unless your kiddo is like 12 or 13, I don't know. I don't know if you can hang that long with them because they would get tired of that crowd. They would. I know even my oldest would get tired of that crowd really, really quick. So, for us, I don't think we would bring the kiddos. It would be, just myself and Dave and maybe meet up with some friends. But loads of fun. Would totally do it again. All right. That was the longest take ever, about 11, 12 minutes. All right. We're going to wrap things up about Monsieur Paul. Monsieur Paul. All right. Sorry. I had to get a couple thoughts in my head here. So, Disney has signature dining establishments, which are kind of a little bit of a bougier step up. And if you're using the Disney dining plan, it's 2 table service credits that would need to be consumed or utilized for signature dining. And then you kind of have exquisite dining, which I don't even, it's dining plan isn't even a thing. And there's two Michelin rated, and I know what y'all are thinking, okay, good restaurants at Disney World, come on. No, these 2 are superior. And they're kind of a special occasion only type of place. And those 2 are Victoria and Albert's at the Grand Floridian, and Monsieur Paul at Epcot. And so for me, always wanted to try mostly Victoria and Albert's. I wasn't really drawn to Monsieur Paul, but wanted to do Victoria and Albert's for the longest time and said, special occasion. Kids are with us, would never bring the kids in here, even though you can't. I think kids 10 and older are welcome to come to these restaurants. Would never pay per head for the kids or anything like that. And so I was constantly kind of looking for the right opportunity. So just celebrated, oh my God, it's going to sound like old as dirt, 25th wedding anniversary. And I'm like, this is the time. But I still wasn't justifying Victoria and Albert's. And nothing more than the fact that I knew I wanted to be at Epcot New Year's Eve. I knew I didn't really want to party from 6 p.m. until 1 a.m. I probably had about 3 hours in me to party. And I'm like, why don't we eat at Monsieur Paul? Because I'm already paying for the park ticket to get in there. And let's experience that New Year's Eve. And we did that. The per head cost for Michelin rated Monsieur Paul is $195 or just shy of $200 per person. And then there's basically, other than buying bottles of champagne or wine, 2 step-up options in the form of a wine pairing. There's one for $69.95 and there's one for $129.95, which probably has bougier stuff, right? And I was really on the fence because I've read and saw a lot of reviews that they give you very generous pours. And I wasn't quite sure if I was prepared, nor did I want to drink that much. And so literally that was the thing took me the longest time to make up my mind when I had the menu in front of me. And when I kind of did the math and said, okay, I probably would plan on having 2 glasses of wine, and what's the cost of that? It was very much a dollars and cents thing. It wasn't that much more to step up to the low end plan of $70. I know. Because I was going to get nice glasses of wine, ones that were $20-ish, $25 a pour. And I'm like, let me just just do it. I've been wanting to do it, and I'll pace myself. And if I feel like there's too heavy of a buzz coming, I'll just cut myself off. And so I will say that it kind of went along with the service that we got. Definitely do the wine pairing. You're not going to get schnockered. It's not like that. You're there for a while, like minimum 2.5 hours, maybe 3. You're probably pacing at more than a glass an hour, but you're eating so much food along the way. It's fine. You'll be okay. And so, what is included, and I didn't realize this, is you do get a starter glass of champagne that's already included in the prefix cost. And then there's this interim kind of palate cleanse drink, which was my most favorite thing ever. It was, what they do is a little bit of sorbet. It's like a pear sorbet with a pear liqueur. And it was so good. It was total palate cleanser, totally ready to eat the next thing. And so with those two things, you do get, I think it's very valuable. You do get a good chunk of alcohol throughout that night. And heck, it's New Year's Eve, so why not, right? It was pretty low key the rest of the vacation. So I ordered the filet, Dave ordered the filet, and I know I've said this to you guys time and time again. Well, we also ordered a fish dish as well. I'm not a meat eater, and I could have easily went with chicken, but why get chicken? Or lamb. I kind of regret not trying the lamb. And so that's what we went with for our meat dish. And you had to pick what fish dish you wanted. There was a snapper, sea bass, or scallops. Dave got scallops. I got the snapper. I didn't get the encrusted stuff. Or like, it looked like beef Wellington, but it was fish. It was like a puff pastry thing. Because I thought I'd get too full. Overall, I'll probably find the ability to drop some pictures in and things like that. I thought the wine pairing was phenomenal. Took loads of pictures so that maybe one day I'll buy these things and appreciate them with another meal. I thought the wine, like, nailed it. Service, phenomenal. Like, Dave and I were both served at the same second. Like, our plates hit. There were 2 servers that came. Like, there was no waiting for the other person. Everything was timed impeccably. And we're pretty fast eaters, and it still took 2.5 hours. So just letting you know, plan on a minimum of 2.5 hours, upwards to 3.5 hours for this experience. We did start to get antsy. Maybe it's because I saw that there's a party outside and I wanted to get out there, but oh my God, I'm dropping so much money here. The experience was good, service-wise. The food, the experience was excellent. Okay, I take that back. The food, I actually gave a B+, A-. Not for anything it was lacking, but I just feel like the kind of things that I ate outside of presentation were on par with some other better restaurants at Disney World. I mean, there are times where I was just like, I'd be happy at home coming and get some fried chicken. You know, the value for what you got, the service was the value. Was the food the value? No, I wouldn't do it again. Am I glad I did it? Yeah, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did it for our 25th wedding anniversary, because if we just went for poops and giggles sometime and we dumped that kind of money, no. But with the tip and the tasting menu, I mean, it was a $600 meal for 2 guys. Like, no joke. Very expensive. I don't regret it, but I wouldn't do it again. Now, that leads me to, well, since that marginal step down from Victoria and Albert's, would I even do Victoria and Albert's? Because I think Victoria and Albert's is yet another $100 per person. Now they have this like chef side table experience. I wouldn't do that. Personally, at dinner, I'd like to be able to crack a couple funny jokes with my husband or friends, whoever are there, enjoy myself. I don't really feel like I need to be fixated on what the chef is doing. I trust that whatever they're going to bring me is going to be delish. So I wouldn't pay for that extra experience. Really hard to get those tables, by the way, at Victoria and Albert's. I do still want to try Victoria and Albert's. I do. As crazy as this sounds, because I just like Monsieur Paul, like never again, you know. I guess it comes down to value. What's valuable for you? And looking around, I could tell that there are definitely some people with deep pockets there, like people that weren't necessarily celebrating anything important. I mean, there was a dude next to us with a trucker hat on, for goodness sakes. And I mean, that's Disney, kind of anything goes. I would have thought that would have been frowned upon at Monsieur Paul. I mean, Dave had he was going for the Steve Martin jerk look with this velvet jacket. It was a little comical, but at the same time, like, he stepped it up a little bit. I actually changed out of what I was wearing because I didn't want to wear what I was wearing like out and about for the night. I wanted to be a little more sporty. But like, I know I had a very modest kind of sweater thing on. And I don't know, like when you looked around, I just felt like I wasn't on par with celebrating the occasion compared to the people that were with me. I felt like these were just folks that were down for a meal and they're, let's try this, and like, I don't know, like I guess some people would just do that on a whim. So anyway, that's Monsieur Paul. I'll do my best to drop some pictures in. I did take a lot of pictures of the meals, the wines. I'm so glad I did the tasting menu. Now, do you need to do the $129 one? I don't know. I mean, the $70 one was good enough for me. I'm not very particular about my wine. I mean, I guess I kind of am, but it was fine. It was fine. I can't even imagine what the bill would be with the step up. Crazy stuff. But that's it. Let me do a quick cut before I go to the final take. I know that was another 11-minute one, but let me wrap this. All right. Let me know which topic you like the most. I will try to keep these coming. This is a very busy time of year for me with the household, the girls, things they have going on in the winter. We, by design, are very busy. So I expect to free up a little bit more at the end of February, but perhaps sneak in a little video here and there. But I'll be more routine come the end of next month. Thank you so much. Have a great day.